Sometimes we forget why we're here. It's easy to fall off track. These help us remember.
These battle scars don't look like they're faded, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These battles.
Growing up, I had a dream, something no one else could see. Tell me what it means when your faith is falling beneath your knees and you can't breathe. Everything you see reminds you of what you're not or something you won't be. You gotta take what you're given, that's how we live it. Don't be mad at the system, it's simply how we've existed. I hear a lot of people talking like they politicians and choose to be an accountant because it's safe in a business. Not because they wanna do it, just because they heard it pays. And who the fuck wants to be poor knowing that's how we've been raised? Society is getting heavy, I can feel the weight. The pressure of success is like 100 million pounds of shame. And that's the reason I'm staying up late, trying to find a way to escape the stereotypes this day and age is making me feel like the only way I'll be happy is getting signed to a label and making money through rapping. I wanna share my emotion because this world is attacking the very principle of life that lets the people be happy. If you don't have a reason to breathe, why even live? These battle scars are impressions of everything that it is.
Don't look like they're faded, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These battle scars don't look like they're faded, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These battles.
Now, if I had a voice that reached 100 million people, I'd tell them there's a reason that we're all created equal. Cause some decide to be great and some decide a sequel to an average person's life is simply what they want to be. So you make your decision, all I know is what I'm given. Won't define the life I lead or the way I dwell in existence. I've seen a greater image on the walls of where I'm living, and the words twisted and scripted remind me of something written. Faith is a gift that is given down to the people. If one believes it, one receives it. It's given if it is needed. Don't ever think you're trapped in a life that you never wanted. Your options are infinite, that's some mathematical logic. I'm not saying I'm a prophet, I'm speaking for what it's worth. These lyrics define my prayers and these battle scars on my church. Not saying I'm a prophet, I'm speaking for what it's worth. These lyrics define my prayers, these battle scars on my church.
Don't look like they're faded, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These battle scars don't look like they're faded, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change.
I hear the birds screaming. Wayne, shut the house. Hello, everyone. How are you doing? I know it's been a minute since I've streamed. Crap, when was my last stream? Saturday? I warned you guys that I am going to be super busy up through February 18th because of converging deadlines. And hello, Stephen. Converging deadlines with the Libertarian Party of Colorado National Party work. It's just the worlds are colliding right now, but it's for a very limited amount of time. Literally every day. I think with like the exception of some Saturdays, in which case I'm going to spend time with my husband. But pretty literally nearly every day, at least through the end of January, I have a meeting. So my streaming is going to be a bit interrupted. Streamus interruptus. So I just got out of a meeting tonight, not a formal one, I'm not on their committee, but meeting with some people from Massachusetts and, helping them with some bylaw stuff. And JJ, you might be hearing from Massachusetts, just for your thoughts on some things that they're thinking of. They're doing a member submitted, bylaws, So, and last night was Colorado bylaws, and that one got a little spicy. We normally aren't spicy in Colorado, but we got a little spicy. Makes life interesting. I actually learned a lot. And this is all part of the national update. I am leading up to something that's relevant to national. But before we get to that, let me do my YouTube stuff. And right here, please like, subscribe. More importantly, subscribe. If you're not subscribed to this channel, I'd really appreciate it. It does really help with the YouTube algorithm. Also, I am Karen Ann Harlos everywhere. Right now, I'm most active on Twitter. I would love it if you followed me there. And last but not least, definitely could use your support on Patreon. That's patreon.com/Pink Flame of Liberty. Okay, now that we've done all the YouTube stuff. So we had a Colorado bylaws committee meeting yesterday. And there were just some parliamentary, I'm the chair of that committee. There are some parliamentary motions, I think I flubbed a little bit, that, I looked up after the meeting, use it as a learning experience, which is always good when you leave a meeting thinking you've mastered something a little bit better, after going through the process. Oh, thank you very much, Michael B, for the super chat. Super chat. I super appreciate it. Thank you so much. So, I forgot where I was going. That was such a pleasant surprise. Thank you. It honed some of my skills. But tomorrow night is the National Bylaws Committee meeting. I encourage everyone to come. The national meetings are usually really good. They're run very quote unquote by the book, so you really learn a lot about procedure at them. It's the next level. So the invitation for that is on the main lp.org page. You do have to register just to get your Zoom link. Do it more than an hour ahead of time, because once I get started with the meeting, I'm not going to have time to approve registrations. So I am the chair of the National Bylaws Committee, so it should be fun. The agenda is up, and you can see what we're proposing, and we're going to be meeting every other week. I'm sure there'll be some times off, people sick, holidays, but pretty much every other week for a year. I know that sounds like a lot until you realize the Historical Preservation Committee has been meeting every other week since 2016. Because that's my labor of love. But I've been meeting twice a month for 6 years now for a committee. Miss some, obviously, but we meet every other week. Next meeting is next Wednesday. Tuesday, excuse me. Is it Tuesday or is it Wednesday? I keep getting confused. No, it's Tuesday. Yes, it's Tuesday, 5:30 Mountain. All right, so for what's going on with National, as I've said before, it's quite a peaceful term. So if you're coming here looking for like the tea, there's no tea this term, and I love it. I'm here for that. There was a little bit of upset, I suppose you can say, where the Region 3 alternate, Connor Nepomuceno, has resigned from the LNC. And I have to tell you, I am so upset about that. Connor is a wonderful person. And, he gave a lot of reasons, but some of the reasons, and this is to our shame, not to the LNC's shame, to our shame collectively as libertarians. Connor is a bright, polite, eager young man. And not the entire reason, but part of the reason he's leaving is just from some of the just really shitty behavior in this party and the way people treat each other in honest disagreement. And to my core, I'm angry that people treated him poorly because he doesn't deserve that. He's a wonderful LNC member, and I'm going to miss him intensely. And I wish him nothing but the best of luck and success and happiness. What just a great person. Now it's be up to Region 3 for alternate. We'll have some very big shoes to fill. Now, Dustin Nana is the Region 3 representative. Of course, everyone knows that I love Dustin. So hopefully they will find an alternate that's worthy of Dustin and worthy of filling in Connor's shoes. But I am going to miss him miss him terribly. But part of the reason he left is how poorly he's been treated by people who are just on the opposite side of an issue in Michigan. Because you can't just disagree. You got to go for the politics of personal destruction and attack his character and things like that. And the people who are doing that to Connor, Connor can't say this, but I'm like, because he's too nice. I don't suffer from that problem. Shame on you guys. Really. And some of you might even be friends of mine. I have friends on both sides of the dispute. Really step back. And is this what you want? Maybe it is. Maybe you want to drive away people who disagree with you. But let me tell you something I learned. The people you disagree with on an issue today are your allies on a different issue tomorrow. You are just kicking you're biting yourself in the butt. And that's difficult to do. Think about it. Think about just literally turning around and biting yourself in the butt. That's talented. Okay. But yeah, so that's the biggest news that happened. But we did have an LNC meeting on Sunday. I'm a little bit tired. I'm sorry. Again, it gets hard having committee meetings each night. I love it, but it's also very, very hard. So if I like stop, the tiredness sometimes like my thoughts go faster than my mouth could get out properly. So sorry if I stumble a little bit. So what happened at the LNC meeting? Well, here's some exciting news. We now have a permanent executive director. A lot of you may know that Lainey Houston was our interim executive director after Tyler Harris had departed. Well, Lainey has now become our permanent executive director. So that is exciting. She is extraordinarily competent and hardworking. So that's probably the biggest decision that we made at this LNC meeting. So I'm very, very happy to have that. We are bringing on, I don't want to say a lot because it's not, let's just say the numbers of staff that, have gone on to other things. That almost sounds like they died. I didn't mean it that way. That have gone on to other opportunities. Let's put it that way. I made it sound like they departed into the great beyond. We are filling those vacancies. What's so strange to me is, there's a cadre of haters out there. I'm not saying haters of me personally. Those are out there too, but that's not what I'm talking about. Haters of the LNC. And it's funny. Each like prediction or thing that they say, when it turns out not to be the case, it's like there's never any admission that they got that wrong. They just pivot and move on to something else without ever acknowledging. Because if you remember, it was like, oh my God, they must be going broke and they're going to run on a skeleton staff because we didn't replace people the next day because we were very cautious as to who we're bringing on. But you hear them admitting wrongdoing now that these staff positions are getting filled? And we actually created a new staff position? No, they just pretend like they never said that and they move on. That's not honest. Oh, they're going bankrupt. Yeah, we had this year a $2 million fundraising, budget year. I'm probably not using the correct financial terminology. There's a reason I'm not the treasurer. But we had a fantastic year. When this LNC took over, the party was about to mortgage the building. Now, I know a lot of people will blame it on changing convention rules where they couldn't spend the convention money before they made it. That's just good finances. People complaining about that, I don't know what to say. That was Alicia Matson's policy manual change, and she was right. So right before Reno, that past LNC was about to mortgage the building. They were not in good financial shape. And now we ended the year. We'll pull up, Todd's financial report. We'll actually read that. That's a good thing for the LNC update. So, but people just spin that. Or they pivot and pretend like it didn't happen. So it's super frustrating, but that's politics. That's politics, but doesn't mean I can't point it out. I do just let it roll off me like water off a duck, or a duck off of water. But it's worth bringing up. So what other decisions were made this weekend? I want to get the wording right on this. So I am going to pull a few things up. But first, since we talked about finances, let me read what our treasurer had to say. So, if you go on the LNC list, you can look at the actual financial report. I'm just going to read his summary. First subtitle, cash position. Our cash position has improved to $239,000 versus an $81,000 target. This is the new second highest cash reserve we have had in the past 4 years. I am again very proud of our staff for managing our cash extremely carefully, especially since our cash flow troubles earlier in the year, and that's what I was referring to. That was last LNC. Nearly the same wording as last report because our cash position remains outstanding and the staff is making this all happen. Previous December 31st election year cash reserve levels for comparison. 2022, which is this year, last year, but the last one, 239,000. 2020, 9,000. 2018, negative 103,000. And 2018, 233,000. 2016, excuse me. So we are comparable to 2016. And remember, that was after a very successful presidential campaign in 2016 with Gary Johnson and the other guy. So 2022 was our best ending election year cash reserve in 4+ cycles. Revenue. December was our lowest revenue month of the year, coming in at $97,000, which was down 7% versus the corresponding month the previous cycle, which is December 2018. While the number was low, we need to fix that. Agreed. I'm never happy. The general fundraising return on investment, a metric that we are now watching closely, was extremely high again. Our return on investment was $472,000 versus $231,000 in the corresponding month in the previous cycle, December 2018. We need to keep an eye on this metric to make sure it pops back up, but the staff did a wonderful job managing the budget during a typically low fundraising month, which will be outlined in the expense and summary sections. So, expense analysis. I'm not going to read all of these numbers because, to be honest with you, my eyes glaze over when you start going just numbers upon numbers going back in time. I'm going to read the summary. Expense management was extremely strong this month, coming in at the lowest expense month of the year. The staff did an incredible job in keeping fundraising expenses down, while still, my eyes are not good, converting well on general, and I'm going to the eye doctor tomorrow, by the way, because you guys have known I haven't been able to see my screen very well, on fundraising, return on investment, and not spending so much that we end up deep in the red. And then he gives some comparisons of prior cycles. Election year Decembers are usually a loss for the party. As you can see, previously we raised more money in December, but spent so much money doing so that we typically have lost way more than we did this year. Our staff did a wonderful job recognizing that they had to take care not to overspend while making sure that our spending was doing a good fundraising return. It was the best overall election year, profit loss in 4+ election year cycles. Summary. So here's the conclusion. We successfully hit $2 million in revenue for the third year in a row. Revenue for the month was too low, but the focus on fundraising return on investment kept the profit loss to our best election year comparison month, result in 4-year cycles. So while the actual number raised was lower, it costs less to get that money, so profit loss is actually higher, profit/loss. Fundraising return on investment remained strong, despite a typically tough fundraising month, showing strong adherence to one of our core financial goals of becoming more efficient with our fundraising spending. Okay, so you won't hear that part. You'll just hear, oh my God, they had a lower fundraising month. But just like if you've ever been self-employed, you know, your gross isn't what matters. It's your net. And if you look at that, so you look at the cost to raise the money, it was actually the best in 4+ cycles. So, just some information for you. Now, motions that passed, or at least that were considered, I think everything passed at this meeting. There's a ballot going on now to fill a vacancy on the awards committee. the Chair's Advisory Policy Manual Committee had its pass through its final changes to the special rules of order. Those were proposed, and they passed. There was also some bulk changes to the standing rules, but some people wanted to postpone both proposals to February because we had a pretty heavy agenda. So in the spirit of compromise, when the turn came up, because the motion to postpone failed, but when the motion came up in the spirit of compromise, I was like, why don't we just voluntarily say we'll postpone half of it? I like doing things where everyone gets something, where everyone can win. So this way, the people who wanted more time got half the time back, and the committee got to present half of its proposals. So I think that was a very good win-win compromise. And so the special rules of order amendments did pass. We'll be hearing the standing rules amendments next month. Then there were two budget motions, one concerning the Affiliate Support Committee and giving them a dedicated budget line of $10,000. That passed. And the other was for the Historical Preservation Committee, and that passed. But the one for the Historical Preservation Committee contained the commitment that we owe, has never been officially in, well, it's kind of been, yeah, I guess it's been officially in the budget, but without a proviso, where it wasn't really adding anything to the budget. It was a net neutral change because we added $2,500 to and gave a budget to the Historical Preservation Committee, but also added a $2,500 revenue line with a proviso that the Historical Preservation Committee will only spend as much of its budget as it raises. So, if you believe in what that committee is doing, please know that you can earmark donations. You can earmark if you do a monthly pledge, you can earmark those funds to the Historical Preservation Committee. There is a link on the homepage to do that. You can get with me. I can let you know if you're considering becoming a life member. You can help us get nearly our entire budget by a life member saying, I want to earmark the dues that I just paid to the Historical Preservation Committee. We have to raise our budget, and I could tell you what we would like to spend on things today is starting to preserve more of those 2-inch broadcast reels from 1970s. Those definitely are beyond their end of life, and soon they will be unrecoverable, and they're not cheap to do. So if you're interested in that, we certainly would appreciate your support. And also, we had legal updates, which obviously I can't tell you because those were an executive session. I mean, I could tell you the broad subject matter, but I can't tell you exactly what the updates were. But they were concerning Massachusetts and New Mexico. Then the chair moved that I want to read her exact motion. Give me 1 second. Okay, her first motion was move that the Libertarian Party list themselves as participants of the Independent National Council event, April 3rd through 5th. It is so funny the way the haters find something to pick on with everything. I think I read from somebody that, oh my God, the National Party voted to join another group. No, we voted to participate in an event that has to deal with minor parties and minor party politics. Like, how you can possibly be mad about that is unreal. You just destroyed your credibility. We should be participating in more things like this. And then the other thing that people are mad about is just crazy to me. And this is the second motion. And there's both good faith concerns, potentially, and ones that I just don't think are in good faith. So the second motion was moved that the Libertarian Party officially endorse the Rage Against the War rally on February 19th in Washington, D.C., and donate $1,500 towards the event. And this lists us as a sponsor with the People's Party, which is a leftist party. Now, can you imagine the howls if our first issue coalition was with a right-wing party? You think those people would be happy because our first partnership is with a really left-wing party, but they're not the right kind of left-wing, apparently. People are complaining that, but it's not the right left-wing party. Okay, it's correct. I mean, it's not the correct left-wing party. Well, what? Should it be the National Socialist Workers' Party? But to be honest with you, I would have no problem partnering with them anti-war because it's on a single issue, on an issue we agree with. That's the way we'll get things changed in this country. It's just unreal to me that people are complaining about this. Now, some people have said, I don't understand accounting-wise, or I have concerns accounting-wise on, complying with FEC regulations for the donation. And I'm going to say this with the utmost respect. The LNC is elected to handle those things. Specifically, the treasurer is. The party is not ran by having 200 bookkeepers. The treasurer was elected to do this. Would be personally on the hook if we screwed up FEC requirements. I'm not the FEC reporter. Do I understand everything about the FEC laws and how to do things properly? No, I don't. I understand my job as secretary. But at some point, you've got to let Todd be treasurer. You have to let our FEC attorney advise us and let us follow that advice. The compliance aspect is not ran by 100 concerned party members. It's ran by the officers, specifically the officer that was elected to take care of this and the party chair. Now, you don't have to agree with all decisions of them, but that is their job that they were elected to do. And some of I'm not even going to say borderline libel, some of the libel that's gone on over this, again, a shame on you. It's just absolutely incredible. In any event, those of you who are really, really into the fact that we are doing this issue coalition, if you're on the East Coast or you can get there, I highly encourage you to attend this rally. I wish I could be there. It sounds fantastic. So if you can, it's February 19th. I think it's rageagainstwar.com. I can get you the link because I might have the link wrong. There's all kinds of ads for it on Twitter and on Facebook if you search for Rage Against War. And you can get the information for the event, or you can write me and I can get you the information. I really wish I could go. So if you're going, I'm super jealous. The assistant treasurer, I believe, is Brian Elliott. Nathan. Now, the assistant treasurer, contrary to what people think, they actually don't do anything unless there's a vacancy, temporary or permanent, in the position of treasurer. I think the terminology there confuses people. It's either required or highly suggested by the FEC so that there's no lapse in coverage of the treasurer position in case the treasurer position becomes permanently or temporarily vacant. They are not someone who is involved in day-to-day things. That's not their bylaws role. But let me look to make sure I had the name right. Yes, it's Brian Elliott. But let's look up the bylaws while we're talking about this. The National Committee shall designate an assistant treasurer to temporarily serve in the event the treasurer is incapacitated or unavailable or vacates the position. So they do not get activated. They only get activated in the event that the treasurer is incapacitated or unavailable or vacates the position. That has not happened at all. Now, the treasurer could call upon them, ask them to assist in things, but that's not their bylaws mandated role. It's not anything that's routine on the LNC. Okay. Let me see if there was anything else I missed from this meeting. I don't think so. I think that was it. Let me go back here to the camera. Give it a few minutes to see if there's any questions. I'm actually going to try to get to bed early tonight because, as I said, I have a couple doctor's appointments tomorrow. We had that big snowstorm here end of December, and I had some doctor's appointments for that week, and they got canceled. And this is the first I could get them rescheduled, and I have to get new contact lenses. Like, I can barely see. And then another. So, long way of saying I've got to get up super early tomorrow, and then right after work, I have to run a national bylaws committee, which is really intense. There's a lot of pressure there. Like, so I want to be well rested for that. But everyone, do in fact register if you're interested in that sort of thing. KC asked what I think about Tulsi Gabbard. I like her on anti-war. I don't like her on other things. Not everybody who leaves, whoever their major party is necessarily a good fit for the LP or is going to come to the LP, nor do we have to champion everybody in that respect. I do love her on some things, but on other things, she's distinctly not libertarian in the slightest. I would love for her to change all of her views to be as libertarian as she is on things like being anti-war. But on economic issues and things like that, she's not there and is not a good fit with the LP until she is. At least more so than she is now. So I think we need to start being a little pickier. I'm not saying you're doing this, Casey. I'm just saying in general, there's a lot of enthusiasm for Tulsi Gabbard. She belongs in the LP. She belongs in the LP. Why? Because you like the way she told off Kamala, not you. Again, personally, this you is Kamala Harris. I love that too. That doesn't mean she's yet a good fit for the LP. I think she could be, though. And I do hope people are talking with her about some of her economic issues. Because on a lot of things, yeah, she's great. And personally, I like her. I like her personality. I think she presents very well. She's obviously, very competent and intelligent. But not at this point someone we need to be holding up as some potential new hero for the LP. I want to talk about somebody who defected from a major party who was definitely ready for the LP. Is Justin Amash. Now that's somebody to get excited about. He definitely belongs in the LP. So there's a bit of a difference there. Not every high-level defection should be going right into the LP. And I don't think it would be good for Tulsi or good for us at this point until she comes along more, if she comes along more in our views. Unlike someone like Justin Amash, who is really ready to go right from Republican into Libertarian. And I would say the same like of a Thomas Massey. He doesn't need to wander in the dry and dusty land by himself. I mean, if he were to jump ship from the Republicans, I think he should jump right into the LP. All right, I'm going to see if there's any other questions. Having a little bit of my Smirnoff Ice. I forgot to bring my soda down. God, I am so tired. Well, okay. That will be it then for this evening. I do thank you guys for coming It is kind of late. There will not be, or most likely will not be. It depends on how long the bylaws committee goes. I think it's only scheduled for 2 hours. So it'll be 7 to 9 Mountain. Was it 7 to 9 Mountain? Yes, 7 to 9 Mountain. Got confused with the time zones there for a minute. So maybe after the bylaws committee, I'll do a little update. But I can't guarantee that. Chairing those committees is really stressful because you don't want to mess up. All eyes are on you. Like, I got a little bit of performance anxiety. So, but I might. And Friday night, I have LPCO platform. So things are really up in the air. The next guaranteed stream, and I'm putting guaranteed in quotes because, you know, God willing and all of that, will be Saturday. So again, I truly, truly appreciate it. And in closing, I am just going to give a plug here again, just one more quick time for my Patreon. With the downturn in the economy, it's been rough. You know, it's been rough. I appreciate the people who supported me in the past and who continue to, but I understand people can't be supporters forever, and there have been some that have dropped off due to financial circumstances, and I really would like to make up that shortfall. So if you can and you enjoy this content, patreon.com/Pink Flame of Liberty. All right, everyone. Speaking of patrons, I don't know if I remembered to update my patron screen at the end. Oh, well, if I forgot, I'll try to remember. Well, I hope you all have an awesome night, and thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Given, that's how we live it. Don't be mad at the system, it's simply how we've existed. I hear a lot of people talking like they politicians and choose to be an accountant because it's safe.